cell is the very basic topic, and you all must be knowing about the cell since the very beginning of the topics.
अब स्टार्ट करो, मैं जा रहा हूँ। सेल से आगे स्टार्ट करो, उतना कट करो।
ठीक है। So cell is, what is the cell? Cell is the basic structural and functional unit of the life. हम सब पढ़ते आए हैं कि सेल क्या है, कोशिका क्या है। कोशिका हमारे जीवन की, हमारी किसी भी लिविंग बीइंग की जीवन की एक संरचनात्मक और क्रियात्मक इकाई है। सो who discovered the cell, what is the function of the cell and how does it look like? These are the main topics which we are going to discuss in today's class. So cell was first discovered by Robert Hooke in 1665, and the cells which were discovered by the Robert Hooke, these cells were the dead cells. Now what is the meaning of the dead cells? Dead cells क्या है? So dead cells are those cells which are having only cell wall. So prior to discussing about the dead cells, let's move towards the some other related content with the cell. So cells which were discovered by the Robert Hooke, he discovered cells. Basically Quercus is the oak plant, oak tree, and the cells which he discovered was the dead cells. This is the structure of a cell. The plant cell looks like this, and the cell which was discovered by the Robert Hooke was the dead cell. It means the cell was having the cell wall, but no living material was present inside the cell. So this is the dead cell. After that, the term which Robert Hooke gave these structures, he used the term cella. He used the term cella. Cella is cell. What are the cella? Cella are some small houses which are used by the monsters or American monks for living purposes. So the structure of the cell which was observed by the Robert Hooke was like this. So he gave the term cell, cella and cells. After Robert Hooke, two scientists came, Nehemiah Grew and Malpighi. Nehemiah Grew and Malpighi discovered cell wall and cell cavities. They discovered cell wall like this. This was the structure, cell wall, and small cavities or large cavities in the cell. These were discovered by Nehemiah Grew and Malpighi. After that, a well-known scientist, Antony von Leeuwenhoek, came, and he is a well-known microbiologist also. Basically, from the occupation, Anton von Leeuwenhoek was not the microbiologist, he was a cloth merchant, and he was very much fond of collecting the lenses, old lenses from robes. So he had a good collection of some lenses, and with her collection sperm cells, he discovered some bacteria he discovered some protozoans and RBCs, red blood corpuscles. So these were some major discoveries made by Anton von Leeuwenhoek, and without the discovery, without the aid of some lenses, the observation of these 4 types of cell was not possible. So what he did, he just simply took a bottle and he fitted 2 types of lenses at this bottle, and with the help of this bottle he observed these all structures, and the shape of this microscope was like this, as you can see in the compound microscope also. After that, Alfonso Corti came in 1772. Alfonso Corti observed a living substance, presence of a living substance in the cell. Till now only cell wall was discovered, some cavities were known, and now Alfonso Corti discovered the presence of some living substance in the cell. So he gave the name this living substance as a living substance, and after Alfonso Corti, Felix Dujardin was the scientist who gave the name sarcode to this living substance in 1835. In 1835, Felix Dujardin connected this living substance with the term sarcode, and after sarcode, J. Purkinje in 1839 named this sarcode as protoplasm. You all must have heard the term protoplasm. So how the term protoplasm originated? The Alfonso Corti observed a living substance in the cell. After Alfonso Corti, Felix Dujardin gave the name this living substance as a sarcode, and Purkinje gave the final term protoplasm. Then in 1831, Robert Brown observed a round structure in this cell, and he gave the term nuclei to this rounded structure. Right now this nuclei is known as brain of the cell. Just because Schwann was a geologist and he was fond of doing his experiments on the animal, with the animals, with the animal cells, with the animal materials, so he observed the presence of a cell membrane in spite of the cell wall. The cell wall which was observed by the Robert Hooke, that cell wall contained cell wall out as an outer layer, but Schwann observed a cell membrane instead of the cell wall. So this membrane was named as cell membrane, and this cell membrane is the characteristic feature of the animal cells. This is the main difference between the plant cell and animal cell, that animal cells have cell membrane and the plant cells have only cell wall. After that, Rudolf Virchow came. He is commonly known as R. Virchow, and Rudolf Virchow in 1858 he gave the theory omnis cella e cellula. It means omnis cella e cellula means cells arises from the pre-existing cells. This was a very big information in the field of cell biology and in the field of biology, because prior to this the scientists and the society believed in the spontaneous generation. पहले ये माना जाता था कि कोशिका से ही कोशिका की उत्पत्ति होती है, लेकिन इस थ्योरी के साथ, इस स्टेटमेंट के साथ साइंस के वर्ड में एक बहुत अच्छा सा बदलाव आया, जब लोगों को ये पता चला कि नहीं, स्वतः जननवाद या अपने आप से ही कोई चीज पैदा नहीं होती है, किसी भी सेल को, किसी भी जीवधारी को जन्म लेने के लिए पहले से ही कोशिकाओं का उपस्थित होना जरूरी है. This theory was very much accepted by the biologists. This theory was very much accepted by the scientists, and with the evolution of this theory, the theory of spontaneous generation was at its decline phase. Louis Pasteur also supported this theory. Louis Pasteur also supported this theory and Rudolf Virchow's statement that omnis cella is e cellula, and on the behalf of all these statements, the cell theory came into the existence, and there were two main points of the cell theory. First point was all the organisms are made up of cells, and the second point was cells arise from pre-existing cells. So these were the 2 points of the cell theory, and these 2 points are the very common points and very important points, as all the biology is based upon these points. So all the organisms which have follow this cell theory, they all have one important characteristic. That characteristic feature is the reproduction. They all shows reproduction, and reproduction is the main characteristic feature of all the living organisms. So with this, the cell theory was here, cell theory is here, and as we know that biology is the science of exception. So here some exceptions are also present. Cell theory, because all the life processes are completed in a single cell, and if we are talking about the viruses cannot be fitted into the cell theory, because they are the single cellular organisms, and inside the living cell they shows all the characteristic features like a living beings. They can reproduce, they can have all the metabolic processes of the life, and if they are outside of the living cell, they are falling like any non-living object. So these are the exceptions which are these are the exceptions which do not follow the cell theory. Thank you.